You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Batuta Advocate, on Desert Rock FM. Welcome back to the Batuta Advocate radio show. You're joined by Clancy Overall, myself, and Errol Parker. How are you, Errol?
Good, mate.
This week we have a special guest, very special guest. We're very lucky to get this opportunity. An international guest. We don't do this very often, but he's a comedian who's in town and doing the rounds as we speak. His name is Jo Koy. You might know him from Netflix. He's a Los Angeles-based comedian with a huge following around the world and here internationally renowned. Yeah.
And he's joining us by telephone now. Hello, Joe. Are you there?
Hello. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the country at the moment?
Doing the Just Kidding tour. We finally hit Australia, and then we'll go off to New Zealand after that.
Yeah, right, because I've been having a look at where your tour's been and where your previous tours have been, and you seem to have a universal appeal around the world. And as a comedian, that's obviously the end goal. How do you think you get to the point where, you know, a lot of people from all parts of the world find you funny?
I think, the blessing is definitely streaming, you know what I mean? It's the internet and getting it out there and the exposure from Netflix. Because, literally, when I first started as a kid, my end goal was to just try getting into the improv nationally in America.
Oh, yeah.
And fast forward 30 years later, I'm seeing people viewing my special in Malaysia. It's like that, when you first start, you didn't think that was ever going to happen.
Yeah.
But, so God bless Netflix, but then, one thing you got to also do is make sure you're funny.
Yeah, for sure. So you came out of improv, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the improv is where, that was my goal. To be a working comic, doing the circuit across the country. I was in heaven. That's all I wanted to do for, since I was 10. I just wanted to be an improv comic and tour the world, tour the country. And that happened, 15 years into my career. Next, I'm touring the country doing improvs. And then, and then 10 years after that, or more than that, almost 14 years after that, I land my first Netflix deal. And that's when everything just changed for me.
Yeah, so do you think you had much of an international appeal before that, or was it in Australia, for example? You look at Australia as a case study.
I would have never ever known.
Yeah.
I came out here with Russell Peters years ago, and I came back on my own after I opened for him, and I did like the Enmore, which was about 1,000 seats, and it was literally because of Russell that got me the exposure, but I would have never known that I had a draw in Sydney or Melbourne or Perth or that's impossible for anyone to know.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
So do you
thank
think
God?
Do you think there was something untapped there? You know what I mean? Because we've seen a lot of your stuff, and I have to say the Filipino mother, that's so relatable to a lot of people in Australia, and I just felt like that wasn't really tapped into. Did you feel the same?
I feel the same way. And what's crazy about it is I literally just did the joke about my mom.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, yes, she's Filipino, but it's my mom. I'm just talking about my mom. Just like any other comic would talk about their mom. They give their mom the accent that they heard when they were kids, and that's what I was doing. In no way was I trying to tap a certain culture or anything. It was just my culture. But what was even crazier, like I said once again with Netflix, is then I started noticing other ethnicities latching on to my mom's culture, which was quite crazy. Going to like Miami and seeing a bunch of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans going, oh, my mom does the same thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I had no idea. Or they're going to Malaysia or going to Tokyo, Japan. It's nuts. Or coming to like Sydney or Perth and just seeing people go, yeah, my mom, what it all comes down to is moms are moms. And that's, that's what I think is what people are gravitating towards.
We've got a Filipino in our office, Valerie, and she always talks about the chinelas.
Chinelas.
Yeah.
I love it. That's also a disciplinary weapon.
The shoe, or the sandal, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, that's the rubber slipper that's used to, to walk in or to beat the crap out of your kids.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the scene in LA? Is it as brutal as we reckon?
I mean, you got a lot of comics coming up, but I do the improvs back in 15 years ago is when I was in the improv circuit. So the guys I came up with are, we've kind of moved on to like the theaters now, But during that time, yeah, that was rough, man. I had to follow some big comics, and at that time it was, at any given time it would be Chris Rock, Dane Cook, Harlan Williams, Richard Jeni, got Robin Williams. I mean, it was just literally, and here I am working at a department store, just trying to get 7 minutes, and then I'm getting bumped by Robin Williams. It's like that's what I had to deal with. So yeah, it's pretty amazing to be in LA and just see the greats walk in at any time. So
when did you
that was 15 years ago for me.
So when did you get to the point where you just took a look at your boss at the department store and you and you thought, actually, I'm just going to have a punt on myself and try and make a go at comedy as your full-time job?
Yeah. What was the hardest thing for me to do is when I was, because I was working shoes at a women's shoe department, and I got the Tonight Show. Yeah. And I didn't realize how many people watched the Tonight Show until the next day I was working at shoes. And it was like every other woman walked up to me going, "Oh my God, you were so funny on the Tonight Show last night. Can I get this in a size 8?" And it's just like, oh man, just made me want to shoot myself in the back. Like, that's the struggle that I was going through back then. It was just like, yeah, I get these little gigs, but I was still in the same spot, But I mean, you can't give up on it, especially in LA. You just got to keep grinding until something happens. Man, I didn't even get the Netflix special. That first Netflix special, Live from Seattle, Netflix said no to me 3 times or 4 times, I think. And
so you had it filmed. You had it filmed already.
No, I didn't have anything. They said no to me. We were like, "Can you just watch the hour? We think it should be on Netflix, and we think it'd be great for Netflix." And they go, "No, we already have enough specials for 2017." And then I was like, you know what? I'll just shoot it myself. And I paid for that whole thing myself. The venue, the director, the producer, the lighting guy, everything I paid for. I edited it myself. And then about 6 months later, I went back into Netflix and I sold it to them.
Yeah,
so
shit.
That's how I got it.
That's a
lot
really
of
big
people
gamble.
always think, "Oh, just because he got Netflix, that's how he blew up." And I'm like, well, no, I didn't get Netflix. I got Netflix on my own. I made it myself. So that's what you got to do in this business. And I was doing that 27 years in. So, I felt like I deserved the hour, but still. But nope, I had to earn it again, even after 27 years.
So you a lot of the comedy you do, I'm guessing, particularly cities like LA and Houston and San Francisco and Sydney, it kind of strikes a chord with. I mean, especially when you're doing all the different types of accents of Asian Americans or just Asian people in general. Do you feel like, and it's something we definitely see around our office, there is a thirst for really, really red hot comedy within that community? Yeah. Do you find you can push boundaries a bit harder with kind of your Filipino jokes and your Vietnamese jokes?
Yeah. I want to do it in a way where I'm complimenting and not offending. I always try and make sure I'm doing that. I don't want to, like, if you listen to the jokes, it is funny what I'm doing, but I'm also pointing out the fact that it's something that's true, and it's also funny. Like, I don't want people to be like, "Oh, he's just poking fun of him, making fun of him," because I mean, when I did those jokes, I mean, I've never seen such a great response.
Yeah.
I was so happy that I did.
Another thing is,
the last thing I wanted was people going, "Hey, man, stop doing that crap."
Another thing is they will laugh at it too. So you
yeah, man. it's been really crazy to see the reach and people want to have an identity as well, man. Like people like to be represented as well.
Yeah.
And it's not about offending. They're just like, yeah, that's our voice and that's funny and we're funny too. And we do funny things too in our culture. So I think that's the cool thing that they embraced.
Do you find as you go around the world and you get to see and experience all the different cultures that some crowds laugh at other things and other crowds laugh at other ones? Because a lot of comedians here in Australia tend to think that a lot of their stuff doesn't really land in New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah, because they have a very warped type of humour. And on the inverse, a lot of Kiwis come here and they find that they just have to make a beeline for LA.
Yeah.
Really?
The comparison we've been told is that because there was so many English that came and settled in Australia, Australia's comedy is more English, but New Zealand's a bit more Scottish. And you can kind of see that in the Flight of the Conchords, I guess. Those guys, it's very dry. So if you're a loudmouth Australian and you go over there and start talking about sex and poo, they want a joke that goes for 20 minutes.
Wow, that's crazy that you guys can dissect that and really see it. But what's crazy is I don't really change it. Like the one thing I will say is I'm not doing my hour from the Netflix special. So if you come see me, it's a completely whole new hour. Yeah, right. But I feel like I don't really change it in any other way. It's like if you're not going to laugh at it, then oh well. You know what I mean? You have the choice to leave, but I mean, I find that people are getting it no matter where I go.
Because it's more you than any country or any format. It's more you.
Yeah, so how long does it take you to write an hour of comedy? I mean, like, do you do like a year on, year off?
No, I can get through an hour in about 3 months, and I'll turn over another hour. And it's pretty crazy. My writing is nonstop, so I'll go up with just a premise and not even write it down and just run with it. And if it doesn't take off, then I usually drop it probably after the second time I've done it. But man, when it's got legs, I keep running. I'll milk it till I got everything.
Hell yeah!
So yeah, man, and it's fun, man, because I did 2 shows in Hawaii this weekend before I came out here, and literally I had people coming back to the second show, and I literally did 2 different hours. So that was very rewarding for me to be able to pick and choose which jokes I want to do for my next hour special.
Yeah, we did a live tour last year, the Two of Us, the stage show, and we found, myself personally, the nerves don't really ever go away, even if you think you're comfortable with the bit. Where are you at with that now? I mean, 27 years, as you said before. Do you still get the nerves backstage, or do you still have a formula?
No, I don't have anything. It's excitement, but never nerves. But one thing I do love to do now is when I'm in LA, I like to pop up at like open mics, like real gritty bars with with a pool table in the middle. I love doing that.
People eating dinner.
Man, I did the James Corden set. I did a set for James Corden, and I practiced my whole set at a weed bar.
Right.
And I swear there's maybe 8 people just stoned. There was a refrigerator full of edibles, and literally I did my 5-minute set there, and I was like, if I can make them laugh, then I'm good to go for NBC. So I love doing that. I love going up in the worst situations and just seeing if I can do it. I was in Hawaii one time. I went up with flip-flops, swim trunks at a bar with a big drum set behind me, and knocked out 10 minutes right there. So that's so much fun to do that.
Give him a real surprise.
Oh yeah, man! The whole town came out, man. It was crazy. By the end of my set, it was full with like just people in pajamas, like, "Hey, Brad, Joe's here."
As Clancy and I was saying before, we did a road show last year, and along the way, especially when we did a few trial shows, we got to experience what it's like to really bomb quite heavily as a titan of this industry now. How do you come back from that? I mean, it is arguably the most soul-crushing experience I had the first time. I really bombed really hard, and people just looked at me.
Yeah, just moving on.
And then you're just like, I'm going to have to go back to my old job. I fucked this up.
That's so funny. Man, I've been really, in no way am I trying to boast or brag, but I've been really blessed, man. You know, I got my fans now. They come out to see me. It's kind of cush now, you know, but don't get me wrong. When a joke runs flat...
No, like 30 years ago.
Hey, but I'm just saying, if the joke runs flat, I get out of that joke as fast as I can.
Yeah.
I'll even acknowledge the fact. I'll even tell them, like, hey, that sucked. And then I'll grab something that I know I'm going to get them to just make up for it. But don't get me wrong. I'll go up on stage and try something. Even in my head, I'm like, this is going to suck. But I got to try it because it's funny in my head. Like, I got to do it because if I don't do it, then, I mean, I'm never gonna be able to create. You know, a lot of people get stuck in a rut and they stick to their hour and they'll use it for a couple of years. I can't do that, man. I got to move on. Jokes get stale with me in about 2 months. They're stale. I'm like, I can't do that, man.
Do you ever find, this is one thing that we found kind of helped us as complete novices, by the way. We didn't have any skin in the game. We hadn't done shit. We just did a live tour off the back of our online presence. What we did was, you find when you got a heckler, it's always actually, you treat the heckler more as a friend, because if things start going a bit dry, you can always just dunk on them.
Yeah. That's always good. You know what I find to do when you have an obnoxious heckler?
Yeah.
And this is my little tip from me to you. You can use this if you want. I turn on all the house lights. Yeah, because, you know, the turtle's tough when the turtle has a shell.
Yeah.
But when you take the shell off the turtle, it's just a naked lizard. Like, it's freezing cold. It's scared. So you turn the house lights on, they don't have that shell anymore, that protective shell. And you win every time because you're the one with the microphone just crushing their soul in front of a bunch of people. Just 1,000 eyes looking at this person getting just destroyed by two guys on stage.
Yeah. All right, blonde hair.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, medium height.
Exactly. Are you sitting down or are you standing, or is that the same height?
How are you liking? Have you performed in Melbourne?
Yeah, this will be I think this is my 5th time in Melbourne, but this is the biggest venue I've ever played. I think we're at 4,000 something.
Whew.
So it's pretty crazy. And Sydney is at like 8,000.
Wow.
So it's so crazy right now.
What venue are you doing in Sydney?
4,000. Oh, right.
Sydney, God, I don't know it offhand.
It's like All Phones or...
Yeah, it's like a big job.
Yeah, it's a big one, though. It's close to 8,000 people. It's already sold out. Melbourne's like 4,000 something.
Yeah, right.
4,500.
Oh,
it's crazy to even say that.
No, you're at the biggest spot in the country.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude.
No,
I was not expecting this, bro.
The new
Seriously.
ICC.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, tell us, who did you come up on? Who was your inspiration?
Oh man, I love the storytellers, man. Mm-hmm. So Richard Jeni was one of my classic favorites, man. Brian Regan, Eddie Murphy, when he talked about Aunt Bunny and his mom and dad. I mean, Uncle Gus, like, come on. Richard Pryor. God, I loved Dennis Wolfberg. If you guys love comedy, he died very young. He died very early in his career, but, man, Dennis Wolfberg, man, he was a teacher and an actual teacher. and he talked about it. And, I could watch him for days. Just the storytellers, man. I love the storyteller. Tim Allen, anyone that told Louis Anderson, like right. Just anything that had to do with like a family or something, like characters. I really got off on that, man.
The thing we've noticed about comedians, the ones we've met, is that there's no real kind of hierarchy there out the back of a gig. So you could have a Hollywood star, you could have a world beater with someone who's 6 months in the game, kind of sitting at the bar out the back. Did you find that there's a weird kind of there's no top or bottom really amongst comedians? Like you could meet a hero very early in your career.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. That's just how it is now, man. I think when I was coming up, my heroes were unreachable, mainly because I was from Tacoma, Washington. Yeah, man. You get to L.A. and it's just like, oh, I'm having coffee with John Lovitz right now. How crazy is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And John Lovitz is like, this is crazy.
What is it with actors? Actors work so hard on their craft for so long, and then stand-ups tend to just become actors overnight. I mean, Eric Bana's a great example, one of Australia's greatest actors. You wouldn't remember Eric like we remember Eric Bana, and that was standing on stage with a microphone doing skits.
Wow. And it just blew up, huh?
Blew up.
Yeah.
Became a funny criminal in a movie called Chopper, and then all of a sudden he's in Black Hawk Down, and that's a stand-up comedian.
Wow, I did not know that. Yeah, but I mean, when I'm on stage, especially when I get into character, I mean, you're acting, and it shows. So you put words in front of a comic, they tend to give those lines a life, and that's always been my goal. I love to act, so. When I write, I always think of situations. So in my head, I visualize these being shot in a scene. I really do. Every joke that I tell, I'm like, yeah, that could totally be played by actors right there. That's a funny situation right there. So, yeah, I want that.
When you're writing a joke and you think it's one that's pretty close to the wire in terms of, its content, do you ever think,
societal standards,
am I prepared to be cancelled over this joke? Is the threat of cancellation now kind of like an unofficial ombudsman for the comedy scene?
I think that's just the times we're living in right now. I think you could be canceled at any workspace right now. That's just the culture we live in. But I think the space that I live in, I don't really think of it at all because everything's towards me.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to cancel for me, then I guess just cancel for me then. But I tend to stay in a pocket right now, and it's about my son, it's about my mom, it's about me, and that's my lane, and I don't like to go outside my lane, and that's been my bread and butter, and it's also what I enjoy doing. That's what I love to talk about the most. I keep the politics and the whatever it's called, the reality side of comedy where people
the commentary.
I'm not. That's not me.
Well, that's do you find that people come to you for not that? Right? They come for a laugh.
I think people. Yeah, because comedy is man suggestive, bro. It's. Comedy is just like music. It's, you don't go up to a country singer and go, hey, when are you going to start rapping, bro? Because he doesn't rap. He does country. And it's like, that's like someone coming up to me going, hey, what do you think about, the politics? I don't, that's my personal opinion, but that's not my style of comedy. I'm not going to give that
to people on the news.
Yeah, exactly. They're exactly.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit, like in Melbourne? What are you getting up to? Do you want us to put you in touch with someone running a real dirty room down there?
Dude, this tour for Australia is the most brutal leg I've ever done on this tour so far. I'm literally in a different city every day, so I don't even get to enjoy each city that I'm in. So it's kind of crazy. I get like 3 hours before I get on stage, and then I get off stage, go to bed, get on the plane, and go to the next city. So it's pretty brutal. This one's pretty brutal, and it sucks because it's summer in Australia and I don't get to see it.
Don't worry, man. There's smoke over most city right now. So the beach is in that flash anyway.
Oh man.
Yeah, no. Half the country is currently on fire.
But Melbourne's nice.
Man, you don't have to tell me. We flew over it. It looked like we were flying into hell. It was so gray, and I'm not even joking. It was bad.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it's been burning for a while now. I mean, the only thing that can stop it now is rain, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have much of that anymore. We're in the middle of the worst ever drought on record. So, You better keep the showers to a minimum.
Yeah.
Only 2 minutes.
I won't flush my toilets.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Actually, you should do that.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll just keep the shower to a minimum.
So you're halfway through, or you just started?
We just started.
Yeah.
Well, all the best on the tour, man. We're pumped to see you.
Oh man, thank you so much.
And it's been great chatting to you. All the best, and get yourself a face mask.
I am. I got sick. I'm not even joking, by the way. I really do have it.
Thanks, Joe.
Mate.
Thanks for speaking to us, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks very
Bye,
much.
guys.
Bye.
Oh, they were fun.
And thanks for that, Joe. Our first American guest on this show. Obviously, many more to come. So if you want to go and see Joe's show, he's at the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Centre on Friday the 6th of December. And then he's at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre on Sunday the 15th of December. Then, of course, he makes his way over to the Riverside Theatre in the Perth at the Perth Convention and Exhibition Centre. That's on Friday the 13th, so he's doing that overnighter from bloody Melbourne to Perth. That's a bit tough. And, of course, coming up this weekend, he's in Sydney. He's at the First State Super Theatre at the ICC, which is near the old entertainment centre.
That actually just reminds me, we're all going to be in Melbourne at the same time, us and Jo Koy, with our book launch on the 14th in the Alex Theatre in St Kilda. We might have to talk to his people, actually, and line up some tickets for him and his cronies so we can see how we do it in the desert.
Yep, or after our shows are done, we can go to a comedy room and all make a cunt of ourselves there too. So if you want to go and see Joe, Google him. Tickets are still available via Ticketek.
Thanks for listening.
Until next week, my name is Errol Parker. Never talk to the police unless you have legal counsel present. Stay to the pokies and ACAB.
You look after each other.